feel like it's
I call the special council meeting to act upon a timely filed motion for reconsideration filed by Councilor LaPierre on a negative vote to approve a proposed contract for Michael Donovan to the City of Lynn's Director of Capital Projects. Is there a motion?
Excuse me.
roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, you do roll call. I'm trying to, roll call, please.
Councilor Alonsog.
Here.
Councilor Chakoudas.
Present.
Present Councilor Field.
Present.
Present Councilor Hogan.
Present.
Present Councilor LaPierre.
Present.
Present Councilor Matul.
Present.
Present Councilor McLean.
Present.
Present Councilor Meany.
Yeah.
Present Councilor Meji Madre.
Present.
Present Councilor Net.
Present.
Present Councilor Walsh.
Present. Is there a motion?
The
To be
motion
made.
to approve.
Councilor LaPierre?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would make the motion for reconsideration relative to the contract and appointment of Michael J. Donovan.
So this is a motion to reconsider.
Second.
We have a second. Roll call.
Councilor Alonsog.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Chakoudas.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Field.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hogan.
No.
No. Councilor LaPierre.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Matul.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McLean.
This is just to open it back up for a reconsideration, the vote that's coming after.
Yes. Councilor Meany.
No.
No. Councilor Meji Madre.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Net.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh.
Yes,
Yes. Passes.
okay. Is there a motion on the floor, Councilor?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the proposed contract for Michael Donovan.
We have a second, we have a second. Discussion. Any discussion? Councilor?
I have a couple questions, Mr. President. I don't know if I can call the Chief of Staff or whoever's going to be overseeing this.
Yep. The mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you please, for clarification, can you please tell us where the money for this salary is coming from?
The money for the salary would be under the CFO's budget. It'll be in the next fiscal year. For this fiscal year, it'll be out of the ISD line, but we haven't approved next year's budget yet. But we're creating a new capital projects unit, and so that'll be in next year's budget.
So none of the money for his salary is coming from the school department?
So the way Chapter 70 works is that we get Chapter 70 net school spending money to spend on education, and a portion of those funds go to the school department, the vast majority of them, and that's what they spend directly on education. There's some money that stays on the city's budget that is money that is in support of education that counts towards net school spending. Most of that are things like teacher or employee, school department employee, health insurance, retirement, so on and so forth. But that also includes the work that ISD does in support of our schools. And so there is a portion of ISD's budget that is paid for out of Chapter 70 funding.
So just to clarify and make it simple, the salary, the money for this salary is coming from the Chapter 70?
The way we've done it and the way we plan to do it for the capital projects unit is to have a split allocation of the salary, because they're going to be working on both school buildings and city buildings. The majority of our buildings in the city are school buildings. So, as you know, we have 29 schools in the city of Lynn. We also have, several city buildings as well. This building, police station, fire stations, the library, now the senior center, so on and so forth. So the split that we have used is 75, 25, 75% on the counting towards net school spending.
All right. Do you know if we're going to get reimbursed for the salary that we're spending out of for this salary
Reimbursed by who?
by the MSBA?
No, the MSBA does not reimburse for city
salary.
staff. Right.
Councilor Net?
Mr. Mayor, I want to clarify, what under department is Mr. Donovan going to be under?
Mr. Donovan, we're asking you to ratify his contract to be head of the capital projects unit. The capital projects unit would report to the CFO, who reports to me. So it's in the CFO's office.
So he's pretty much like an independent department by himself, is that right?
He's not independent in the sense that he reports to the CFO, you know, and then reports to the mayor, but he's independent from ISD in that it's like spinning the work out of ISD. So it's work that previously has all happened within ISD, and we're separating it out. You might recall that last year, around this time, about a year ago, March of 2024, we sent a letter to the council asking to adopt a home rule petition, and sort of shared the rationale for this, and that's kind of when we first set it forth, what the need was and how this would work. That was in March 24, and so we had a letter from myself as well as a memo from ISD, so kind of setting it forth, and then you all voted to set it down, and then adopted it in April, and then it went to the legislature, and then we made the interim appointment in October. So that was kind of the initial timeline, but that, as we've been, talking about the capital projects unit over the last year, that was the origin. And the idea is that the city is undertaking an extensive capital improvement program that is most markedly present in the construction of the new Pickering Middle School. That's an almost $200 million project, but that's one of several school projects that would be considered capital projects that are in motion right now. And there's also many happening on the city side as well, particularly the senior center renovations, the ARPA park upgrades that we're doing, and there have been those projects had been happening under the direction of the Inspectional Services Department, but the feeling was that in order to give them the attention that they needed and the focus that they needed, and also help us work towards a more cohesive and iterative capital plan, which is something I mentioned in the State of the City is a goal of ours to have that as a separate document. We have a capital plan, but it sort of is living in our budget document, and we've gotten the recommendation over the years to pull that out and have a separate capital planning process. So to facilitate the creation and ongoing update of that document, and to give these projects the focus they deserve, that was the impetus behind the creation of, or the rationale for the creation of, a separate capital projects unit.
Just to clarify again, I'm sorry. So he will report to you and the CFO directly?
He will report, his direct supervisor will be the CFO. Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilor Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mayor Nicholson, it's taken a long time for us to get to these capital projects. One being Pickering, Marshall, which Mr. Donovan oversaw and came in under budget. The Fayette Street Fire Station, you named a bunch of others, as far as capital projects that are in the near or current cycle right now. With his expertise and without the CFO here, how much is the city probably saving or losing money having Mr. Donovan in this role, so that we don't have to pay outside consultants and attorneys that are working for the city but not as closely as Mr. Donovan, who's more familiar with these specific buildings and types of projects, also while able to assist the city and the CFO in budgeting for future projects? Can you explain?
Yeah, no, it's a great point and a great question. It's a little hard to quantify in the negative, the problems that we're avoiding. But I can say that these projects are in the order of hundreds of millions of dollars. The Pickering itself is almost $200 million. We have identified and cataloged a backlog of upgrades for the elementaries that is over $100 million. And I could list all the projects, and all of them are in the millions of dollars. And not only by having that kind of focus, not only do we think that we're going to hopefully avoid problems that become costly mistakes, but even just to undertake the work. There's not, I think, without this dedicated unit. We believe the dedicated oversight capacity, and, you know, this was one of the things that was mentioned in this memo from March of 2024, that the work is happening now in ISD, but the work is reporting directly to the chief of the department, who has other responsibilities. You know, it's multiple divisions: public health, inspections, facilities. And so there's been missing, the sense that there's missing that the level, the kind of leadership for that supervisory work, for the product supervisory work, because it all rolled into the ISD chief. And this takes it outside of that. And so I think just, you know, we're fortunate right now. We're still in a moment where we have had access to one-time funds, that there's still ARPA projects that are happening through, I think, the joint effort of the city staff and the council, where we've been in a position to do some capital projects where we borrowed. And so there's a lot of capital work happening, and having a dedicated team, I think, is going to help make sure that work gets done.
Thank you.
All right. Councilor Meany, then Councilor McLean.
Yeah, I don't really have a question. I just wanted to point out that we're here on a Friday night for a special meeting, and Mr. Donovan hasn't even bothered to grace us with his presence.
I believe Mr. Donovan's in Florida, but I don't, on vacation. Councilor McLean.
Mr. Mayor, I was under the impression when this came past our desk months ago about Donovan's new department and where he was going to be and what he was going to be doing, and we all voted yes on that. So I was under the impression that he was already moved out of the position, and I would like to know why Brett was brought before us, and we agreed that he should have the position, and then our last meeting, Donovan comes before us again. So it seems like the process was flawed. It seems like Donovan was not removed from his seat as ISD director, and we hired someone while he was still in that position. So now that person is basically in limbo. So I wanted to know, could you clarify why that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we designated Mike Donovan to be the temporary head of the capital projects unit in October. And after doing that, we asked this council to amend the ISD chief ordinance. So for all along, Mike Donovan has been doing both the work of heading the capital projects unit and the work of the ISD chief. And, you know, I think that's what the point of having the council amend the ordinance after that appointment was, to give us an opportunity to get ready to do a search. This is a hard job to fill, and we're incredibly fortunate that we've found a candidate we think is going to do a great job, but that wasn't predetermined, and I think the concern was that we would be going without a head of ISD if Mike had left the role. Because he was already overseeing capital projects in his role as ISD chief, it was possible for him to do both, and and the city's operations to be uninterrupted. Because what we're doing is we're spinning out the capital projects unit. So there was a sort of a seamless flow of work in the sense that he continued to oversee capital projects and do his role as ISD chief. We wanted to get the ISD chief search right, so we updated the ordinance with your support. We did a search. We found the candidates. The candidate came here for you, but Mike had not formally resigned his role as ISD chief because he was doing both jobs, because we didn't want it to leave the work uninterrupted.
So I think my request would be to keep us informed of these types of, little intricacies that, because when this came before me again about Donovan, I was like, we already did this, and it should have been already completed, and I was not aware that he was functioning in both roles. I think that would have been important for us to know, and that someone should have said that to us, and that would have influenced some of the votes. that were made. So I would hope that in the future that we would be aware of everything that has to go into the hiring of the next department head or the next person that we have to vote on.
Yeah, I mean, we always strive for good communication, and I'm always happy to answer questions. That was the way the city was being run, and I think we need an ISD chief, we need a building commissioner to be able to sign off on building permits and so on and so forth. And so, you know, we had sent communications about the appointments being made and the votes that we had asked for, and, you know, we always tried to have good communication, and there's always opportunity to improve communication.
Councilor Badri.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, I have a question. My question is about, you said the breakdown is 75%, 25%. So 75% would come out of the school budget, that's school spending side. So my question is around the SEL layoffs and the that recently happened. So can you just speak to that as far as like what the plan is to make sure that, you know, social workers are being laid off, and like what the plan is as far as making sure like these kids are gonna get the help that they need at the school level?
Yeah, so the 75% of the capital projects unit costs, they don't come out of the school budget, they come out of the city budget that's charged towards education. I believe you're referring to discussions about potential cuts or, you know, decisions about the school budget. And those are incredibly important decisions and work that certainly I'm a part of, given my role as a school committee chair. But those are decisions that the school department is going to make about their total allocation, which is a separate allocation that is what goes to the city for education-related expenses.
Thank you for clarifying that. I just want people that are watching at home to understand that as well. So that's why I asked.
Okay.
Councilor Hogan.
Mr. Mayor, how many years is this contract for at $194,000, and how long will the city be on the hook for?
The term of the contract, you received the contract, right?
Yep.
So the term of the contract is till June 30th.
Thank you.
2026.
Right, 2026.
Any other? Councilor LaPierre.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Mayor, thank you. Couple questions for clarification. This line item is a reduction of salary from the prior salary of Mr. Donovan. Is that correct?
Yes, from what he would be making, what he's currently making as ISD chief. Yes.
And with this approval, can you forecast for us in the FY 2026 budget that this will not lead to layoffs by giving a higher sort of individual contract to Mr. Donovan at the expense of lower wage workers?
I feel confident saying that the establishment of the CPU will not lead to layoffs. We're in uncertain times, and there's federal cuts that are coming that could always throw a wrench in everything that we're doing. But as you pointed out by the premise of your question, there is a cost saving to the city for the position itself. And as you know, the Councilor Meji-Madri and others have pointed out, the direct impact on the city budget as a percentage of the position is, a fraction.
And that further assumes that Mr. Bennett's entry as chief will be coming into our city with a much reduced salary from Mr. Donovan's previous salary.
That's correct.
Because of his lack of experience, brand newness to the city, not accounting for years of service,
Right.
longevity, and other things.
Exactly, and the change that you all made last fall to the ISD chief ordinance was to allow us to negotiate a contract based on experience, essentially, because I think some of the trouble the city has found itself in with department head compensation had been the specificity with which things were required based on ordinance, which is including, whether it's education or longevity or so on and so forth, that sometimes made it challenging to track the ultimate amount because there'd be a base salary and then different amounts. And, you know, that, the current ISD chief is under the older ordinance, which had those additions, and so we were empowered by this council's decision to update the ordinance to negotiate a salary for an incoming ISD chief, and he's a great experience, and honestly, I think going to be towards the top of the range that we posted for, but the range that we posted for, which was based on market conditions with feedback from the Collins Center, is significantly lower than what the current ISD chief is currently making.
And my final comment, Mr. Mayor and Mr. President, is, you know, as chair of the Personnel Subcommittee, we have tried very, very diligently about these high-level positions, and when we fill them, that they come before the subcommittee for a screening with the Personnel Subcommittee, who has an opportunity to ask questions of the candidate and so forth, so on. In this case, that did not happen for reasons that were beyond us because of the scheduled vacation of Mr. Donovan. And my original intent of the reconsideration vote was to have us back at our regularly scheduled meeting, which would be Tuesday, April 8th, knowing that could not have occurred because we have a time lapse of Mr. Bennett's starting date of April 7, along with this approval, potential approval on April 8th, did not lend itself, with Mr. Donovan being on vacation, to come before us in person. And I think that is unfortunate as it is. This is what we are forced to reconsider on this evening, and I'm sure we'll all have an opportunity to see Mr. Donovan in the future in this new role. And this will allow for Mr. Bennett to begin his tenure with us on Monday, April 7th. So I just want to make that comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jacutis?
I have a question, well, really not a question. I know Mr. Donovan's not here, but if I'm correct, you were supposed to go on vacation in January, and there was a problem at Classical with the heat, and he canceled his vacation because of that and just rescheduled. That's why he's not here, if I'm correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions from anybody? All right, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Roll call.
Councilor Allensburg?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Jacutis?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Field?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hogan?
No.
No. Councilor LaPierre?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Matul?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McLean?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Meany?
No.
No. Councilor Mejia Madre?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Net?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. It's the wish of the.
Motion to adjourn.
The motion to adjourn, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn.